In 1994, there was a ruling party that collapsed, the National Party. And that's how unique 1994 was. So when this ruling party collapsed in 1994, something happened. There are forces in society at the time that jostled to do two things. One, to bury it. Two, to inherit its assets. And these two forces, the one was the ANC. It jostled to bury and inherit the National Party's assets. The second one was the DP, the white liberals, also jostled to inherit and bury the National Party. This is what happened, the outcome of that struggle between the DP and the ANC. The ANC was given the body of the National Party. Remember, officially, the National Party dissolved into the ANC. So the ANC was left with the body of the National Party and say, be the custodian of the body. The DP inherited the assets of the National Party. The members of the National Party shifted and went to the DP. And that's how eventually the DA was formed. So what does this tell us about 2024? We are exactly there. There is a ruling party that is dead. It's called the ANC. And there are forces that are jostling for two things. One, burying it. Two, inheriting its assets. Let me tell you who killed the ANC. Jacob Zuma killed the ANC. When history proper is written, Jacob Zuma will be recorded as the murderer who killed the ANC. Finished it.
But the previous episode, you said the current president, Mr. Ramaphosa, will be remembered in history as the person that presided over its funeral.
Exactly. So Jacob Zuma did the murdering, Cyril Ramaphosa did the burying. So Ramaphosa is busy burying it, and he's ensuring that this burial is peaceful. There's no chaos as the ANC is being buried. I mean, the ANC lost an election, right? Noises and so on. Ramaphosa prevailed to make sure that the ANC is buried very nicely and very quietly with dignity. It exits. So the ANC is being buried as we speak.
And before you continue, sorry to disturb you there, to come in there. Are you saying former President Jacob Zuma killed the ANC while he was president of the ANC? Or are you saying he killed it by forming EMK?
It's a very complex question you are asking. He actually stabbed it while he was in the ANC, while he was president. So that whole business of state capture, of allowing thieves from India, the Guptas, to take over the South African state, of murdering state-owned enterprises and milking the state dry, that's what finished off the ANC. But he did a bit of life. And when he was out of it, he realized, I need a hammer just to smash its head so that it dies completely. And he smashed it, and it died completely. And Ramaphosa was handed over the body to bury it. Now, the question is, now that the ANC was buried in 2024, who is going to inherit its assets? Remember, this was the question about the National Party. Who inherits the asset? And the DP got the assets. Who is going to run away with the assets of the ANC? The struggle for the assets of the ANC is on as we speak. And I can tell you who are these. The DA, by the way, they want the ANC's assets. They want to take whatever they can get from the ANC in order for them to become the governing party of South Africa.
What are those assets?
The assets are the voters who have actually installed the ANC in power. The assets are the masses of black people. People are fighting, organizations are fighting to get the votes of the vast majority of South Africans who happen to be black. So even Zuma having murdered the ANC, he now wants its assets. So this whole MK business is about capturing the assets of the ANC. And you can see the way he behaves. He says he wants to maintain the membership of the ANC. Why? In order for him to be viewed as the rightful heir who can take over the assets of the ANC. 2, look at the symbols of the MK. The symbols of the MK, even the name MK comes from the ANC. So he wants that to legitimize his claim to the assets of the ANC. The way they praise Winnie Madikizela Mandela, for example, he is struggling to inherit the assets of the ANC. The EFF also have been, the whole game of the EFF has been about inheriting the assets of the African National Congress and nothing else. So that's how historic 2024 is. It's going to stand out in history as the year when eventually the behemoth called the ANC was buried and forces fought for its assets.